And someone within the FBI or within DHS would have then had to have communicated with DHS's Secret Service to say, stand down at this time, at this aspect of the perimeter, i.e. the roof.
Hey, Kharisma here. Well, welcome back to Kharisma Daily. Now, as it relates to the Trump assassination attempt, a Secret Service whistleblower revealed in an affidavit that he was instructed to stand down and essentially allow Trump to be assassinated. Now, before I let you listen to that, I want to give you an update on what the acting director, Ronald Rowe, had to say last week when he testified before the congressional hearing. It says, this is according to AP, the Secret Service acting director told lawmakers that he considered it indefensible that the roof used by the gunman in the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump was unsecure, and said it was regrettable that local law enforcement had not alerted his agency before the shooting that an armed subject had been spotted on a nearby roof. Ronald Rowe Jr. also testifies that he recently visited the shooting site and laid down on the roof of the building where shots were fired in order to evaluate the gunman's line of sight during the July 13 shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania. What I saw made me ashamed. As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year Secret Service veteran, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured, he said. The testimony was the most detailed catalog to date by the Secret Service of law enforcement failings and miscommunications, with Rowe accepting blame for his own agency's mistakes while also pointedly criticizing local law enforcement for communication breakdowns that resulted in his agency not receiving information that a gunman, later identified as 25-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, had been seen on the roof of a building less than 150 yards from the rally stage where Trump was speaking. Neither the Secret Service counter sniper teams nor the members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the roof of the building with a firearm, Rowe said. It is my understanding that those personnel were not aware the assailant had a firearm until they heard gunshots. He said the shooting amounted to a failure on multiple levels, including a failure of imagination and a failure to challenge our assumptions. We assumed that the state and locals had it, Rowe said. We made an assumption that there was going to be a uniformed presence out there, that there would be insufficient eyes to cover that there were going to be counter sniper teams in the building from whose roof Crooks fired shots. And I can assure you, Rowe added, that we're not going to make that a mistake again. He said he had implemented multiple reforms since taking over as acting director last week, including mandating that every event security plan is vetted by multiple experienced supervisors before being implemented, expanding the use of aerial drones to improve visibility of roofs, dedicating more resources to improve communication at events where the Secret Service is operating. He also said he's also directed that federal and local counter teams work together on roofs. Now, there you have it. Are you buying that? Are you buying that? Now, there was a video that shown when one of the victims were released last week. He got out of hospital, one of the victims that were shot. He released video footage of being able to see Crooks on the roof from where he was sitting. And he was sitting behind, in the seats behind Trump.
New footage shows Thomas Crooks running on the roof, and we're going to illustrate where he got on the roof and the path that he took. Thomas is running. He becomes more visible, but then starts to go back down and disappears. A few seconds later, he reappears for a short while and then disappears again. Let's go to my illustration that I mapped out and closely match the focal length to get a good perspective of what we're seeing in the video. I made a box that is 6 foot tall and 16 inches wide to mimic a person to be easily seen in this illustration. As we begin playing, we can see him coming into frame as he runs up the roof of one of the buildings. When he gets to the top and heads back down to the other side, he disappears again. When he gets to the next building, he repeats this action. Let's see this more clearly as we change our focal length to 35mm. I placed a marker here to show Thomas's starting location. As I zoom in, you can see this location in my previous video, showing where Thomas climbs up the roof away from prying eyes. Once up on the roof, now we can see how he was going up and down in the video as we follow his path. Lastly, we end up at ground zero, where Thomas crawls up to the ridge of the roof with his weapon. Check out my last video where it shows Thomas Crooks walking around before the shooting. As always, thanks for watching.
So I ask you, if he was able to see Crooks on the roof, wouldn't the snipers have been able to see Crooks as well? The same snipers that took Crooks out, apparently? Go figure. You take a look at the video and you let me know your thoughts. But I think what this man is saying here, this Ronald Rowe, acting director of Secret Service, he's full of it. Now, moving on to what this Secret Service whistleblower had to say. Let's take a listen.
It would have taken foreknowledge either by the FBI or DHS, and Secret Services under DHS, of this individual planning to do what he did in the way that he did it. That is, going to the roof at that time in order to take a shot at the president. And someone within the FBI or within DHS would have then had to have communicated with DHS's Secret Service to say, stand down at this time, at this aspect of the perimeter, i.e. the roof. And so that's really the link here. And so the thing that needs to be drilled down to is the nature of the stand down. Again, we have a affidavit from a Secret Service whistleblower that they were supposed to be there, but they were told to stand down. And so everything else that you're identifying here really flows from this question of why they had such lax security, why they chose to ignore so many standard protocols. Well, that question may be answered by knowing the name of the officer who ordered that stand down from the roof. And that happened at 2 points, right? There was supposed to be someone on the roof. That person had to stand down. And there was supposed to be, as you mentioned, a sniper team with a line of sight to the roof. And they were not there. Now, whether they wandered off randomly or were they given a stand down order, were they told by someone else to go to a different roof? Well, the question here is sort of solved by knowing the name of the person who gave that order, because then you just get all the comms of that agent or officer and see who they're connected to, what advance notice they have. Were they in communications with the FBI? Did they have advance knowledge that there was a deranged loner planning to use the roof? Because if that's the case, then it's case closed and we can move right to prosecution.
And of course, we need to look into all of these. We're not getting any answers. We're not getting answers from the Secret Service. Is not giving any. The FBI is not giving any. Homeland Security is not getting any. This is why we need Jim Jordan, the Weaponization Committee. We need to start issuing subpoenas. We need to issue subpoenas right now.
There you have it. So, whistleblower says that there was a stand down. I believe it. I believe this was an inside job. There was a stand down so that they can allow former President Trump to be assassinated. I said what I said. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you believe this was an inside job? Do you believe that there was a command to say stand down? Let him get on the roof. Let what's supposed to happen. And we saw what happened, right? The attempted assassination of former Trump. I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next.